All right, let's go to the power rankings.
Uh-oh.
We haven't had Kyle dancing on our show yet this year.
You do the Trump dance?
Yeah, you look pretty comfortable with that one, EJ. All right, it is our segment. It is Tool Time. We look at the top 10, the bottom 5 each and every week.
Hey, Mike, look right. No, I was kidding.
We look at EJ's first. Yeah, we don't have to scream at Kyle to not look at the top 10. But let's start in the bottom 5. Let me get this off the screen here. EJ, give us your bottom 5 to
All
start.
right. For the podcast listeners, the bottom 5 this week, we got 28, the Panthers, 29, the Dolphins, 29, the Titans, 30, the Dolphins, 31, the Patriots, and 32, the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm fine with all these. See, the problem with the bottom 5 is there's just a lot of bad teams.
You put all 5 teams in there, it won't be wrong either.
And I think it's hard. We'll see ours here in a minute, but yeah, I'm okay with them. Anything egregious there? I don't necessarily like the Patriots at 31.
Yeah, I would probably have put them at like 29 and moved the Dolphins to 31 because that quarterback battle is dog water. But I mean, it's not like overly egregious where I'm like, let's riot over it. I mean, I think all 5 of these teams suck out loud, and I think there are about 4 other teams that you could put in the bottom 5, and I don't think anyone would really be that upset with it.
Nope.
Kyle,
I didn't even see the run-in. We got a student.
There, there he is, you bastard!
Holy hell!
I mean, yay!
Kyle, look at the right. Kyle, look at the right.
Kyle, at the right. At the right.
I did.
Kyle, double 32.
Dolphins at 32, Titans at 31, and then the Jaguars.
Okay. All right. I see what you did there. All right, EJ, who's your top 10?
Here we go. 10-1. Here we go. Number 10, the Seahawks. Number 9, the Commanders. Number 8, the Buccaneers. 7, the Texans. 6, the Niners. 5, the Bills. 4, the Detroit Lions. 3, the Ravens. 2, the Vikings. And number 1,
How much Advil did you take for your knees to recover for this?
He's on X Gym at EJ.
You know this.
Meaning he's taken 7 pills of X.
Yes, lots of X.
Man, when you react to 1 week of football, you react.
Okay, so I'm gonna assume that the reacting is on the Ravens.
Ravens, that's a big swing. Where were you? Remind me. Do you know where you had the Niners last week?
I had them at I think
unranked.
They were unranked last week.
I'm pretty sure they were unranked last week.
No, you're right. No, you're right. Mike, you're right.
So you jumped them.
Yes.
5 spots for beating your 31 team.
5 spots at the least, Jim. We assume he put.
Well, that's true. At least 5.
But look at this, Jim. So last week, Eagles 5, Steelers 6, Packers 9, Jets 10. All 4 teams shit the bed badly last week. They're out.
Sure.
And the Steelers shit the bed badly. They lost by 3 on the road. Like I still want to have them above the Niners, but like
to a Colts team though that we could argue is
right, exactly. And they were down big in that game. They was
beating
better without Anthony Richardson. We were
okay. We did that, but they're not a top 10 team right now. And honestly, it was by default. They were because they're 3-0. But again, you see, what you're seeing here is definitely right now the top 6. I trust.
Who do you trust? Yeah, God damn it, perfect, Jim.
Houston,
that's a
little sluggish. Buccaneers, I'm big on the Buccaneers. Commanders, obviously the sexiest of the bunch here. Like I said,
you bumped off your NFC contender Packers.
Yeah, you beat
yeah.
And honestly, the wrong questions, okay?
And Matt,
hold on, Kyle. Hold on.
Green Toes Jaworski.
Green Toes, yes. By the way, Matt, last night, had the Seahawks not made that game competitive, Packers would still been at 10. But the Seahawks, I thought, were even the loss was pretty impressive in Geno as well. So,
okay.
So you think the Packers didn't end up making it competitive? What the shit are we doing here? Where's Brad Pitt on Moneyball, Jim?
What the fuck is going on?
No.
Oh yeah, but I'll ask one question here.
Wrong one.
The top three.
And what
I guess
are you talking about?
Show the list, Jim. Jim, show the list now. I guess I'm gonna ask the question as you show the list. The rest of the list. I told you, Kyle.
I owe you a beer. My bad. These tool bags, these chuckle fucks, actually put the Vikings at 1. I told you. I had more faith in them than that. This is, I get it. He's a homer that can't get over a call. That's fine. But the Vikings at 1, what the hell are we doing?
That's not the worst one. Look at Sean's number 1.
I can't. The Lions I can live with. I'll be honest.
Over the Vikings?
I said what I said, Ernest Christian.
Calm down, green toes.
I knew someone would have a problem with the Lions. It makes sense that it's EJ.
I don't have a problem with it.
EJ's the only one of us that was alive the last time the Lions had a shot at a title.
I'm not going to say like, oh my God, but Minnesota has quality wins on top of this to justify being them at number 1. That's worse. Yeah.
But look at the audience closely. Like the one that's only remotely objective here because his Eagles are so trash is Sean, right? You got homer ass Mike who can't handle the fact that his team lost to the Chiefs again. You got homer ass Jim.
Calm down, because there's going to be a real comeback to this, and I hope you're ready for it. So,
and you know what? If it's good, I'll respect you for it. Let's get there. And then homer ass Jim with his Lions meet the Vikings and over the Chiefs is at play as well. So yeah, are we really that shocked here, fellas?
A lot of Lions heavy here. Jim and Sean especially.
I realize it's 3. If the Lions clobber the team who I have at number 8, and the Chiefs struggled to beat a now 2-2 Chargers team.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of cream at the top to really look at who's going to test you on a schedule. And I thought I wouldn't have been able to predict after a week or two that I would have thought the Seahawks were legit. But I think going into last night's game, I think that the Seahawks were playing some darn good football. And I thought there was a chance that they were going to, ruin my my Lions pick. And I thought the Lions shelled out, and they showed a few drives where they're like, look, we can push you around, and we can shove Dave Montgomery down the field. And then David Montgomery can catch screen passes also and run for 40 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs can run all over you too. He had a couple of finesse runs. He had a couple power runs.
Tell him.
And then to run some trickery and get Goff a receive. They showed every page of their offensive playbook, or at least bits of it, and every one of them worked. And then to in the final, the second half of the fourth quarter to really kind of pull away and make some defensive stops against an offense that was playing very well even against you, and to just really bunker down and take that game, take the control back, I thought was a pretty big statement for them. And without a lot of cream at the top, I don't feel that either of the undefeated teams are playing as well as the Lions looked yesterday.
All right, now Mike,
Jared Goff going 19 for 19 is pretty.
That dude was
it was limited and it was efficient and it was good.
Lions.
Now, Mike and I both got attacked for the Vikings at 1. Mike, I'll let you address it first. If I need to add anything, I will.
Well, my addressing is going to be multi-level here. Obviously, number 1, the Minnesota Vikings have defeated the Houston Texans, who I have at number 5, and the Green Bay Packers, who Eagles Jaworski has said was a NFC title game participant. And honestly, they mollywopped the Pittsburgh Steelers. They mollywopped the Green Bay Packers and decided to play prevent defense and had to hold on. Yes, mollywop.
Yes, yeah, that's pretty old.
Okay.
So
let's
know.
Yeah, exactly.
So a team that Eagles Jaworski had potentially still in his top 10 after getting boat raced by the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, by the way, in Lambeau.
That's your biggest mistake. Your best.
No. It's not my biggest mistake, sir. They started playing prevent defense, and Jordan Love goes 4 touchdowns.
Stop it. You can't
be
a number 1 team and blow that lead. That's fucking period.
But Kyle, I'll tell you what, though.
You can't.
Shut up, BJ. I'm defending you for once in your life. Do the right thing and shut your mouth. Shut your ass.
Shut your ass.
But you're going to defend a team who's won 4 games that they should have blown out every team, and instead they snuck by the Chargers. They needed a pass interference call to defeat a Bengals team that couldn't find a way out of a red paper bag.
I win.
No, I'm going to go through all 4 of their games, sir.
And defending a team that gave up a what is it, 28, 22 points or whatever the hell it was? Nah.
Your God, Patrick Lavon Mahomes looked human. He has no wide receivers. Travis Kelce is old. The defense is the only thing that's going to save them. Their running backs are trash. Their receivers are trash. They're going to have to trade for someone. Hold on.
Kareem Hunt, comeback player of the year.
Let me have my moment. I've sat here and you guys told me that I was insane for it. But here's the deal. I was
promised a good defense, and I'm giving horseshit. I'm sorry. I'm knee-jerk reacting to that.
You're giving okay, bud. Let's be real here. Who's their number one wide receiver? Who's their number one wide receiver?
The Chiefs?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Are we doing a team ranking or a player ranking? Who
do I trust? I don't trust any of their wide receivers. I trust Justin Jefferson.
So Michael,
I trust Amon-Ra St. Brown.
So Michael,
I trust them.
Just Travis.
Michael, I'm going to surprise you real quick. I'm not bothered by your number one. I'll be honest with you. I'm not.
I didn't think you would be.
I can see the argument. I'm actually more bothered by Sean's number one, actually.
Well, here's why you need to stick to basketball, EJ. Shit.
The reality of the situation is this. The Kansas City Chiefs sat there on the road in LA. Mm-hmm. They needed to rally because they gave the Chiefs a lead. They lose their number one wide receiver. They've got nobody else left. Hollywood Brown, done. Rashee Rice, done. Travis Kelce, old, broken down, shell of himself. Isaiah Pacheco might be back, and if he is back, he's going to be a shell of himself. So at the end of the day, I look at it from this perspective. Do I trust Xavier Worthy or do I trust Justin Jefferson? Do I trust Xavier Worthy or do I trust Jordan Addison? Do I trust Aaron Jones or do I trust Carson Steele, who's fumbled 4 times in the last 3 weeks?
First of all, Carson Steele might not be the starting running back. Kareem Hunt outperformed and outhanded.
I think Hunt will be the guy.
Sure, absolutely.
I think
a guy who can't stay healthy.
Argument here.
I will say this in Mike's defense also, and Jim's also too. I don't agree, obviously, by virtue of the list here, but Vikings at 1 isn't as egregious as you think.
Here's the thing: when I build mine, because the question always comes if I'm looking at the 3 teams that I'm considering for the number 1 spot, Vikings, Lions, Chiefs. If I ask myself, if they play this weekend, who am I picking? I'm taking the Vikings over both, because the Lions, as good as they looked yesterday, they've still looked shaky up to this point. So like I'm taking the Vikings in a close one there, and I'm definitely taking the Vikings over the Chiefs, and I'm taking the Lions over the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs, yeah, they're undefeated, but they have not looked good in those 4 games.
But could we also give the Chiefs credit here? I might try to defend. I don't need to defend the Chiefs.
I know they have a championship legacy or whatever.
I mean, no, Jim. The only back-to-back champions. No big fucking deal. No big deal. But that means
that's not this year, my guy.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
You also have a 2-2 team. You also have a 2-2 team at 4.
Right. But the Chiefs, even not looking good, you can argue they're not playing cupcakes either.
3.
They beat the Ravens, who were number 3. They beat
Jim,
the Bengals. Quality.
Let him go.
The Bengals still a quality team. In my opinion, at 1-3, still a quality team with Joe Burrow at the helm. Joe Burrow's had a phenomenal year despite the 1-3 start. Who would beat week 3 last week? They beat Atlanta, which is kind of frisky at times. I get it. And then Chargers team. So yeah, no, they should lost all 3 games, maybe even 4 games. But that's what the Chiefs do. Is that made you look kind of thing the whole time?
Let me come to EJ's rescue only because it's the only time I'll ever piggyback off of him.
It's kind of heavy though, man.
The other big thing, when he's saying you can trust the Chiefs, you can trust the Chiefs. I may not necessarily trust them because they're the defending champions or anything like that, but I can tell you who I trust, and that's Big Red. I think when push comes to shove and you're making adjustments during a game, and as somebody who watched him coach, obviously in Philadelphia. On a lot of teams that didn't have a number 1 wide receiver and had an undersized running back. Now, you can say everything you want about how great Brian Westbrook was. I will agree with you. But at the same time, he wasn't a hero either. And they ran a tandem of him and Correll Buckhalter, who never did anything else. He's got bionic legs. No one can use they had guys. And Andy Reid, when he had that scenario, used it to his advantage and used you don't know who we're designing a play for because no one's a star, right? And Xavier Worthy's got a ton of speed. You still have Travis Kelce, who, by the way, is the answer to your who's his number 1 wide receiver. It's always Travis Kelce. That's look 1, in case you wondered. It's not Rashee Rice. Mm-hmm. Teams have just been beating him up, and he'll probably deal with that the rest of the year now. So hope he didn't want Pro Bowler Travis Kelce. But he'll find his room, and Andy will give him the looks that he needs, and he'll probably use 2-3 running backs, including Kareem Hunt. But you're going to see a whole mix of things from Andy Reid, and I think there's a chance by the end of the year that I have them up there at the top with them. I just don't think right now they deserve to be there. So EJ, I will agree with that you may be a little cheap high, but if I was coming to your defense, those are all reasons why I would support your choice.
I think the only thing
I still want to pick them to beat the Lions or the Vikings right now.
Probably not, right. The only issue I have with all three lists here, really more than anything else, that stands out to me anyway, and Kyle, I don't know where you stand, maybe Matt also too.
Wait, Mike can say everything he's saying. He has the Chiefs at 2, by the way.
But before we keep digging into the list, as a quick sidebar, and we're talking about the Chiefs and number 1 receiver, do the Chiefs try to get into this Devontae Adams?
You're damn right. You're damn right.
You think it's a coincidence he brought it up this week?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know necessarily that they'll land him, but they'll make a call.
Divisional, train to the rival.
I think being in the same division is going to hurt that.
But I disagree. I agree with you, but I also think it's overrated as shit. Go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. And the last thing I'll say,
overrated?
No, the idea of can't trade to your division rival. You're getting assets.
Oh, okay. I thought you were calling Devontae Adams overrated.
No, he's
I was about to come at you.
No, I love it.
Well, where you need to settle down there, Jaworski, is if there is to be a most petty franchise in the NFL, it is in fact the Raiders.
Oh, so I agree.
That's a fact. And then if you agree, why are you saying it's overrated? Stop.
No, I'm saying no. I'm saying the idea of teams not want to trade in the division. That's all.
Here we go.
I'm saying teams trying to not want to trade in division. I agree with the Raiders being the team.
Win the Super Bowl, EJ.
I'll say it again.
I'm just wondering if there's another take you'll bury yourself deeper in.
No, I said that the idea of trading to the same team division is overrated. However, I do agree that the Raiders are the one team that is petty as shit.
Well, on one side you have the Raiders-Chiefs rivalry, and at the other side you have a team that's not going to compete for several years and probably won't.
What he's saying is, on one side of the fence you have something, and on the other side of the fence you have another. Correct. And he's going to hang out right there in the middle of the two.
Cowboys and Giants.
That's what he's saying.
The Cowboys and Giants are trade this year, this offseason.
Anyways, so the one thing I will say in all of this, as critical as I am, is the Vikings being at 1.
Hold on. Let's go. Most likely landing spot if he gets traded. Let's just quick round table it. Okay. Where do you think Devontae Adams lands, Mike? I'll start with you.
Buffalo Bills.
EJ.
That would be
play the sound for Aaron Rodgers right now.
Yep.
Aha.
The goddamn Jets.
Matt.
I like that pick. But to just say a different team, I'll say the Commanders.
Ooh, I like that. I like that, Matt.
God, Scary Terry and Devontae Adams on the same team. That might go from the number 2 team in the East to the number 1 real quick. Sean.
I don't want to agree with EJ, but I think he's right. I think the goddamn Jets.
Kyle.
Hit it again so Sean can agree with me instead of EJ.
Sean, you feel dirty, don't you? Look at you.
Speaking of caught between two extremes, look at me now. Yeah. Right between these two.
That's gross. That's so gross. To not say the Jets, I will. I like that Bills pick though. That's intriguing.
That's compelling.
That's a cute one. I like that.
That's a good one.
I'll say that one. All right, Kyle, back to you.
Just really quickly, the one defense I can offer the Vikings that no one's mentioned yet, if you're rewarding them for this week to see what they can do next week, and if you're leaving room for them to disappoint you, cool. But listing off players, that ain't it. That ain't it. By the way, according to most people on this panel, division rivalries are quirky. Are we putting too much stock in either of the games seen, whether it be the Chiefs or the Vikings? I don't know.
I mean, perhaps.
I'm gonna tell you I'm not. I'm gonna put it more on the fact that they blew the doors off of the Houston Texans the week before.
You're talking about
the Vikings.
Well, I mean, we saw how close the Texans were to losing the Jags, so that's looking less impressive.
I mean, we also saw how close the Chargers were to losing to dog water teams, and the Chiefs escaped LA.
Okay, that's not a good segue by you. It's
buddy, and that's fine. I'm going to defend my pick because at the end of the day,
it
has nothing to do with being a homer.
Okay.
I'm so glad we're arguing over the top 5 and not the bottom. Because like I feel like
all I've heard for 4 seasons is that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback of all time. Here's your opportunity to prove it. If he loses this week to New Orleans, I don't want to hear who do I trust because he's won 2 Super Bowls. I don't want to hear it anymore because that argument is worse than mine being a homer.
If he loses to the Saints, which he hasn't done yet, so that's kind of silly here, but if he loses to the Saints, I don't think he should. I think he should be criticized for that too. Absolutely. What the fuck are we doing here?
He's not playing well.
You keep saying that it's me being a homer. I'm saying he doesn't play defense by what the Chiefs are doing.
If the defense doesn't show up,
if he throws if he throws a late pick, it's on him.
I don't think it's on him. But yeah, I don't know that. I don't know. I'd jump on that train. I have in the middle of the pack, the teams that are not on either of these 2 lists. I have several teams trending up, and I have several teams trending down. Right. And the Saints are on cruise control right towards that bottom 5. They are playing the submarine. They're in the submarine part of their schedule. They are diving at this point. I think it's going to be I don't think that one's going to be. I don't care who you have at wide receiver. I don't think they're going to have any issues.
The only reason I'm not bothered by Mike's Chiefs take here is because he has number 2. Jim, however,
I pointed that out 3 minutes ago there to mention Dan.
Like that's the point.
Because the Lions would beat them. Like it's not a hard.
Jim's not wrong.
It's not a hard sell to me. Like
it's his show.
If you know what I mean. Like I have them above the Bills, especially because the Bills just had the doors blown off them in Baltimore. I'm fairly certain Derrick Henry just scored again.
The Bills are in danger.
I'm certainly not putting the Bills above the Chiefs, but I'm not putting them above the Lions or the Vikings right now. So they're an easy 3 for me.
How are the Ravens ahead of the Lions?
What's that?
How are the Ravens ahead of the Lions on EJ's list? Is more the biggest question mark I have in this entire.
EJ's back on the hooch.
I'm back. I'm back. I'm back.
Because he knee jerked to a big win
because
on Sunday Night Football.
Because he did what the college football committee does, and he tries to sell the fact that the Chiefs are number 1 because they beat the number 3 team on his list.
I thought I was.
He got me.
I was going to get heat for putting the Ravens even in the top 10. When I put them in there, I was like, well, they're the best of the 2-2 teams probably, so I'm going to throw them in there because I ran out of everyone else.
I have him at 10 also. I gave him credit.
Don't get me wrong. I think after this week, it's probably not going to be after this week because the Eagles don't play. But I had the Eagles as one of those teams based on injuries and based on, resting through the bye. I think in a couple of weeks, I think the Steelers might be gone. I think the Commanders could implode. I think the Seahawks could continue a decline. And there's a couple teams here in the bottom half of this top 10. And hopefully you all feel the same way because we have very similar teams there for the most part.
I don't think the Eagles in the top 10, but
I think they'll start to sneak in. I think if they win 2, I'm back.
I don't think the Commanders are going to collapse this week because they're playing the Browns. Like their potential.
That's a great recipe for not collapsing.
Like their potential for a reality call or a hey, we're actually good is the following week against Baltimore. Like that game is all of a sudden going to be wild. Like I didn't expect it to be that serious of a matchup when the season started, but
that's going to be like Lamar versus.
Let me pick on Jim for a second. Ravens and Bucks play tomorrow. Who wins the game?
I mean, it's a tough call.
Look, I'll grant you this. You got them closer to where I am than say Mike and Sean, but that's pretty much the only thing on the list I think is egregious is the fact the Ravens are too low. Obviously, Mike and Sean being.
But I mean, here's the thing though. I didn't have the Ravens in my top 10 last week.
Neither did I. None of us did.
They were 0-2. They beat a bad Cowboys.
One and two.
No. Last week, I didn't have them in my top 10. Oh yeah, sorry, because they just beat a bad Cowboys team, and they lost to the Raiders for one. So
not bad. They're mid, not bad. They're just a mid team.
Who?
The Cowboys are mid. They're not a bad team. A bad team's the Jaguars or the Dolphins.
You have to go down.
They're a mid team.
EJ, my phone's trying to send you a message. I just got an ad that popped up that's Pat Mahomes saying, "You got this."
The Cowboys have
Adidas ad. I didn't even know he wore Adidas. I don't even know.
The Cowboys have beaten the Browns. The Cowboys have lost huge to the Ravens, huge to the Saints, who the floor has fallen out of, and they only beat the Giants because Daniel Jones sucks more than the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are a bad team right now.
They're mid.
No, they are a bad team right now. They might be the worst 2-2 team in the league. I don't know.
Bottom 5,
they're way worse.
Wait, Matt. What?
They're not a bottom 5 team, but they're not like a top 15 team.
They're not even a bottom 10 team. So I mean,
I'd like to point out that the Broncos and Raiders are both 2-2.
I mean, I would just like to also point out the fact that everyone keeps saying the Saints' bottom has fallen out. They've lost 2 games by a total of 5 points.
They never should have been put that high in the first place. I've been saying that, but that's okay.
Okay, but you know, they almost beat Philadelphia. They almost beat Atlanta. They're 2 possessions away from being 5-0 or 4-0, the same way that the Kansas City Chiefs are right now.
But does that say more about the Eagles than it does the Saints? I'm confused with where you're going with that, buddy.
No. I'm saying everyone is saying that they're tarpooing to the bottom.
No, but teams are starting to figure out how to stop that offense.
I don't agree with the bottom up portion of that part of the Saints, but they should have beaten the Eagles.
But we were high on the Saints because of the points they were scoring. 47-10, 44-19. Then the Eagles held them to 12. And then the Falcons, now 24 is not a terrible number, but it's not 45. And the Falcons held them to 24 and beat them. So, like, you know, you handled the Cowboys, who might be terrible. You handled the Panthers, who are terrible. And then the Eagles, who no one can figure out.
Jim.
But wait, how did everybody feel about that pass interference call at the Saints-Falcons game? Nobody's talking.
Uh-oh. Kyle did it.
I feel the same way.
Get back out of here. Go do whatever it is you were doing.
I feel the same way as the non-pass interference call on 3rd and goal on Kyle Pitts in the end zone.
I knew you were going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there have been some bad calls around. But
referees are trash.
Thank you.
I don't know
That's the answer. Thank you. There's no bias. They just suck. Next question.
I don't know what pass interference because my YouTube TV respects me enough to not let me watch the Saints and Falcons.
I thought you were a capitalist, Jim.
I have that.
Right.
Well, I do, but I mean, if a company tells me that it respects me enough to not let me watch that game, I'll believe them.
What is pass interference?
Exactly.
The good news
we don't know, Michael.
Shoot, I was looking at the Saints here, and I'm like, well, the good news for them is even if you struggle with the Chiefs and or the Buccaneers, after that it's Broncos, Chargers, Panthers, Falcons, Browns, and then Rams, Giants. So that's a pretty good run. Although the Rams might be healthy by then. That you're looking at the beginning of December at that point. Then it's a whole different ball game. But hey, good times. Either way, the good news is no one has the Saints on their list, right?
No.
Right.
Thank God.
On either list.
Mike, one last question for me, and I'm asking not because I think it's a bad pick. I'm asking because you go in the national media, all they're doing is taking diarrhea dumps on Sirianni and Jalen Hurts and all that. Hell, y'all were claiming his issues were something that, you know, what we learned this week and all that. You have them at 8. Help me out.
They're inevitably going to get back the 2 most explosive weapons that they have. At the end of the day,
is the short version, right?
I mean, the Tampa Bay game looks bad. The final score looks bad, but they weren't even close to being full strength.
Right.
It's why I still have the Chiefs at 2 because they're not at full strength. Their issue is they're never going to be at full strength.
We're here. So, like, what you're saying is they're getting them back. They're getting 2 big players back, Philly. Yes, is that your answer?
He's comparing this situation.
Shut up, BJ.
I'm just going to say yes because all I was trying to do was compare the fact that I bumped a team down because they've lost guys for the year. I'm not going to bump a team down that's inevitably going to get their weapons back and potentially put themselves back into a shot to win the division.
Okay, I understand you now. Thank you.
Yeah, and I take the opposite approach where, like, I want to put the Eagles there. But I'm like, right now, this moment, they don't have them.
Right.
So they're not powerful. And I don't know if that injury is going to, you know, I assume they'll be back after the bye, but, you know, we assumed we would see Christian McCaffrey by this point. You know, I just don't know. So until I see them on the field and everything is back and Nick Sirianni's, despite his best efforts, doing well, and then, you know, as all that starts to happen, then yeah, I'll just throw them right back in because, like I said, some of these teams are going to poo themselves.
And if they come back and they don't, the team doesn't perform well.
I think the Eagles belong in the top 10 if everything goes as we expect.
Agreed.
But here's the thing, too, though.
Not there right now.
If those guys
and that's just
if you put a team too high because and this isn't just a Mike thing. Like the way I look at it is if I put a team too high or I put them somewhere in the hope and belief that when players come back, they will automatically be the team we expect them to be.
Yeah.
Then I have to do the opposite if they aren't, what EJ just did with the Ravens. Like then I'm going to have to drop an Eagles team from 4th to out of the top 10 because, oh my God, this isn't working. Like I don't like to do that, especially the further you get into the season, the harder it is to make that big swing. Like going from unranked to 3 is wild to me.
Just like I'm going to keep the Dolphins down in hot garbage land.
Right.
But if somehow Tua recovers from the concussion and comes back in a handful of weeks and rattles off a couple of huge wins, they won't be in the bottom 5 anymore.
But they beat the number 2 team also. I think everybody had Buffalo either 1 or 2 last week. And Ravens not only beat Buffalo, they smashed Buffalo, embarrassed them. So they're back.
They also got embarrassed by the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Not embarrassed. That game was doing nothing the last possession, like last seconds actually.
The Chiefs did lose someone for the entire year, and Mike kept them at 2. By the way,
like Baltimore, the same thing you said about the Saints being close. The Ravens literally 2 plays being 4 on themselves.
Yeah,
sure, absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Right.
I think there's a good chance we all have complete trash lists.
Right. No, I actually like Mike's Eagles thing because to your point, the Eagles come back from the bye and have who they play after the bye.
Browns.
Ugh, the bad example to use, but
So I had him at 6.
Why? Because they'll win.
I had him at 6 last week. I dropped him 2 spots because obviously, without having the receiving weapons, it made it very feel one-dimensional for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the bye week, they're probably going to stay in the same area. They may drop a spot if a team that's below them has a win. Example. Right. The Baltimore Ravens defeating the Cincinnati Bengals. The Ravens will probably go up.
Win, EJ.
But here's the thing. I don't feel bad about dropping them 2 or 3 spots if they lose to the Cleveland Browns. But I also understand where Jim's coming from, where he's like, well, now if they get it together and they're at 4, and then I'm going to have to tarpoon it whenever they struggle because the pieces aren't doing what they're supposed to.
EJ, if you're looking for a big win to prove they're back, you're not going to get it for a while because they come out of their bye and play Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jaguars, Cowboys.
But if they win all those games, they'll
and
climb back
Commanders
anyway.
and the Rams and the Ravens.
And
then they get a 10.
Sucks. But the thing, the reason that the Eagles were in my top 10, even before Monday night came to a close, they still got consideration. What concerned the Eagles after Sunday was not losing to Tampa Bay.
Timeout.
It was more so the fact.
By the way, if you play fantasy football, sign the Eagles defense.
It was this. I'm worried about the Eagles internally going forward. I'm seeing signs of what happened last year when they imploded in November and December.
It's the whispers and the discussion.
That's what worries me.
It's
losing the Bucs. I get it. The Eagles, talent wise, they're banged up. We get all that. They'll get guys back. Can they put all together as a unit and work internally from the inside out? That's
EJ. The test is going to be the opposite.
Hold on. EJ, you said before the end of Monday night you had the Eagles in your top 10.
No, I said I had the Eagles. I was on the fence between the Eagles and the Packers.
I bet you were. No. What you said was before the end of Monday night, you had the Eagles in your top 10.
Yeah, I had Eagles number what? Last week I had number.
No. I'm not talking about last week. Your statement that you just said
still got before the games ended on Monday night. I still consider the Eagles at the top 10.
Okay, but hold on. Let me finish the question. Where did you have them if they were still in your top 10?
Probably 10.
What changed?
Okay, because at the beginning of this very segment, you said until the Seahawks made it close, you had the Packers at 10.
It was a Packers.
So where were the Eagles?
At 10.
Tied for 10.
10, 9, whatever.
10B.
I crunched. Then I did some
10A and 10B.
10B.
But I did more research also too on top of that. You know what I mean?
Now
so 11 and 12 with the Eagles and Packers.
Who's 10B? That's 10B's EJ's room number down at the senior center.
No, but I didn't see I also didn't see the Jalen Hurts presser until late last night. So that also
so you had the Eagles above the Packers until you saw the presser, and then the Seahawks knocked them both out.
What?
There was. I'm gonna drop.
Stop trying to wrap your head around this math. It's not real math. It's made up math.
Jim, I'd like to drop the Eagles from my top 10
math.
because words were spoken.
Thank you. Like, what are we doing here?
Math.
What is the fucking deal with the press conferences?
Words.
A press conference is why you were dropping them from your top 10.
Optics.
Like, of all fucking things, EJ, I've heard you say some dumb shit on this.
Hey, Jim.
And I have never been this.
Jim,
have it written down.
155, 156, clip this shit.
Shut up. I already got it. Let Matt actually go.
I have never been this floored by something so stupid to be said that a press conference answer is what dropped a team from your top 10.
Optics.
On a day they didn't even play.
For God's sake.
He not only rambled, but he rumbled and stumbled.
That's right, baby.
Can you please play the "You Smoke Crack" soundbite for me?
Come on.
You man.
Come on, Morgan Freeman.
Don't do math.
You smoke crack, don't you?
Thank you.
Don't do math.
No, but again,
crack.
EJ, I expect this nonsense from dumb Eagles fans. I don't know why I put you at a little bit of a bar above that, but I guess I shouldn't have.
I mean,
that's
Eagles the worst. You should
exactly. It's a you problem.
I should have known better.
Well, I mean, but Matt, real talk. It wasn't just the press conference itself, okay? But all the whispers that you're hearing around Sirianni.
What whispers?
You mean what?
From who?
Everybody's talking about now.
Who's everyone?
Nick Sirianni hot seat. Everybody's talking about it now.
Who?
It's been talked about.
I mean, who? Yeah.
It's
probably referring to me as everyone.
ESPN. You also, everybody's talking about it, dude. Every Eagle fan talking about it.
Is Sirianni saying it? Is Jeff Lurie saying it? Is Howie Roseman saying it? Is Hurts saying it? Is anyone in the organization saying it?
Well, I think he said earlier Hurts did say it. Or at least alluded to it.
Hurts comments and that I saw last night.
What comments specifically?
I can't remember the exact quote. I don't want to quote.
No, there was a comment that dropped them from.
But there is a disconnect. There's been rumors about this him and Sirianni for a while now, but he put rumors. But then when he says it himself yesterday and interprets all the fears of Eagle fans. I don't have the quote in front of me, so I wish I could tell you the quote.
I'm working on it. I'm going to do the journalism.
I'm doing a journalism.
Keeps rambling.
You know,
if you're taking weight and
then he added last year's
ESPN analysts,
right? But then he also added last year's meltdown too. What happened after he started 10-1?
It has nothing to do with this season.
But it's the same situation though.
I have the quote.
How are you not getting that, Matt?
I have a quote.
Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Quote: As you enter the bye and you want to find an identity, do you two, Hurts and Sirianni, talk about maybe what kind of message to the team and how you kind of want to handle things as you guys go into the second part of the year? Hurts' comment was, quote, "We have our moments."
Yeah, I just found it too. Is that the quote you're referring to?
No, there's more than that. It was more than just 4 words.
Well, that's the one. Well, I'm literally looking at a headline from a day ago that says Jalen Hurts sends a 4-word message to Nick Sirianni. So maybe the 4 words.
And first of all, that was a dumb question to begin with.
It's not a great question.
Look. I think the Eagles are turning around. I know, Matt. I know you're worried. You're Eagles fan, a little worried. I get that. You guys be okay. I think we'll see.
I'm not genuinely worried because of the missing pieces, and also because ultimately, if the Eagles blow up, it's not my money. I don't really care that much.
Let's be fair. At worst,
I care.
The Eagles are the number 2 team in the East behind Washington.
Kyle and I did a podcast today, and I asked them straight up, right now, NFC East favorites. He says right now the Commanders.
No, that's not what happened.
Right now, you said. Right now, you to the Commanders.
Let's get the real story from.
I already clipped it. It's on the YouTube page and TikTok.
Since you're asking me today, what the lead was if the correct answer is to be a fence sitter on that question. But since I'm not that, and I'm not going to go on your show and share in your culture of fence sitting, okay? I did say today, if I had to pick, yes, I would pick the Commanders to be the team that wins. The term power vacuum forming in the NFC East is something I've said now apparently for the past 2 weeks on the
now,
Speaking podcast.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm not ruling it out.
4 weeks into the season, I think Washington has looked the best out of the teams in the East.
Correct.
Probably
I don't think that's that bold of a statement. However, you also have to look at the fact that Washington 3 wins are against lesser than teams.
The Bengals are lesser than?
They're doing it convincingly.
But they also look winning 2 road games.
Don't talk about blowing out the Arizona Cardinals as if the Cardinals are a legitimate
Again, but when you win on the road back-to-back weeks in Cincinnati and then the emotional win and then go on the road again on the West Coast and still and then blow and to your point, blow them out, Sean.
Yeah, you blow them out. But we all know that Arizona is up and down, and if you catch them when they're down, you will kill them. Like they panic and they don't know what to do. Now, I'll give it to Washington. They limited the scoring, which is good, but sometimes that's just Kyler Murray playing too much Fortnite or whatever he does. And then the next week they come out and they just explode for a ton of points against a team they have no business. The Cardinals, there's no predicting what they're going to do. They're like a mad scientist out there in the West. But while I have the mic, EJ, the one thing I will say is you were looking for something coming out of the Eagles bye week.
Right.
And the one thing we might get is if your whispers or my fears are or anything close to it are true, the bad news for that is there's no tough games.
Yeah.
At least not on paper. In the Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jaguars, Cowboys. Cowboys obviously rival, that could be anything by that point.
In Dallas.
But those first 4 not great. But
the disrespect is real.
But if there is an actual coaching problem or a disconnect or something like that, if there was ever a 4-game stretch to find that out the hard way,
these 4,
it's the Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jaguars.
Correct.
Okay, I don't want it to happen. I hope that's smooth sailing, and at the very worst 3-1, and we move into the second half of the season a much different mindset. But you lose the wrong game the wrong way there. All of a sudden those whispers that EJ's seeing on ESPN and that I'm pretending or not, that are pretty much just in the back of my mind. Most of my situations are just internal fears for the season. It's things like, it looks like this could be a thing. It looks like this, you read the Twitter page like Matt says, or, anything. You start to panic. Maybe I'm in panic mode at 2-2. I'm glad that my panic mode is 2-2. Lord knows what I would be like at 0-4. But I think that 4-game stretch is going to be the tale of like, was this just 2 games or is this the way things are? And at least I learned that from your ramblings and looking at the schedule.
Jim, can I propose that we get the sax solo from Careless Whispers on the soundboard for the next time that EJ Christian does a press box take to change his top 10?
Yeah, and here's the thing about the Commanders. Last thought I have on them is like they lost by 17 to the Bucks. They beat the Giants by 3. They beat the Bengals by 5. The win against the Cardinals looks great. That's also a franchise who's been above 500 3 times in the last decade and is coming off back-to-back 4-13 seasons.
Thank you.
We're
cool. You won big in Arizona. That's awesome. You look great. Jane Daniels looking more comfortable. The offensive piece is looking more comfortable. Hell, the loss of Austin Eckler, shocking, may be an upgrade to that offense because now you have 2 younger, faster, more elusive backs. So yeah, this team is on the upward trend, but and yes, after 4 games, they've looked the best in the East, but that can very quickly change on a dime when, you have the Ravens coming up. And then a little bit later on, you have the Steelers. You have games against the Eagles and Dallas. And at the back end of your schedule, you play the Eagles and the Falcons again. So if there's teams that we're thinking are decent, they're at least better than the competition they've played so far. As good as Washington has looked, we have plenty more to learn about them.
Absolutely.
Correct.
As the season plays.
And this is why I'm going to step in and defend myself from EJ carelessly quoting me from his show. Okay.
Oh, trust me, I didn't actually believe.
You said right now. I
didn't
say out of pocket. You said right now. You said going forward.
Shut up. This is me defending me. Okay. God.
Yeah. It's fluid. It's okay.
So the thing is, what I also said was what's creating the vacuum is there's really only one team I feel like that's actually trending up this moment today. And to Mikey's point, injuries are a factor for Philly, no question. Okay. But the Cowboys, listen, all we got to do is rewind back however many minutes ago you were damn near breaking open bottles of whiskey and sulking in your tears about how the Cowboys are a bad team. Okay, they're trending down.
Sucks.
I mean, I'm not sulking about it. I'm being realistic.
It's a joke, homie. Take it easy. So, but the Eagles, like I said, too, are also trending down because while I'm not doing it on the strength of one fucking press conference, there has been noise going back 2 years. Not 2 years. Well,
a year.
The previous season is what I should say. Going back into the previous season of there being discord at the very least, not necessarily between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, but Nick Sirianni needing help. And I've actually said the same from my own point of view when I covered Nick Sirianni and gave you guys my impression of him on this very show, right? All of that were things that happened. So I get why the Eagles may also be trending down. So all of that is why I say the one team that's trending up is, in fact, the Commanders.
But to your point, and like I said, on the podcast too, Kyle, I did state now still today, even 4 weeks in, you asked me now who I picked to win the division. It's still the Eagles. Their issues is not a talent issue. It's an internal one. They can fix that very quickly. In these next 4 weeks, we're going to find out more.
Or all they got to do is lose to the Eagles or the Cowboys and completely change the fucking thing.
That's different, right? But the Eagles have the best roster in that division by a fucking country mile.
Wait, they almost won, but then Jane Daniels in the press conference said something about how awesome they were, so they actually won.
Don't get on the press conference bullshit, okay? I said what I said. If you don't get it, you
as the one person that regularly participates in press conferences, I am the one most allowed to talk shit here. Thank you very much.
That's true. That's a good point.
He's got a point. I fear even asking this question.
Don't ask it anyway.
Any more thoughts on the state of the NFL?
None.
God damn it! What the fuck is going on here?
What happened?
Thank God.
What's